Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And we are officially 1 week into the MLB 2024 baseball season. And Braeden and I's Yankees are smoking hot. I think 6-1 to start off
Yep.
the season, all away games, sweep the Houston Astros, win 2-3 in Arizona. Sorry, Mickey, if you're listening. Just overall taking care of business. Um, lot things to do and part of this man named Juan Soto, and even like Oswaldo Cabrera. But Braden and I are going to get into it right here on In the Yard. Just give you guys our overall reaction, how we're feeling, and what the expectations are moving forward for the New York Yankees. So Braden, I don't think it's
Okay.
unfair to say that we expected um, that we did not expect the Yankees to sweep the Astros in Houston on opening day in the first series there.
Yeah, I think I was confident going into the series, right? Because there is an expectation, right? You know how Juan Soto, for the most part, like someone like DJ sitting on the IL, but like for the most part, you're like relatively healthy. So you go in, you're like, okay, if we can, and we kind of talked about it on here, like we've got 7 games on the road to start against two opponents. One was in the ALCS last year, one was in the World Series last year. If you walk out of this series around 500, great. You know what I mean? To walk out of it 6-1 is very impressive.
Right.
Very impressive by the Yankees. And to me, not to jump the gun or anything, I think the biggest takeaway, well, a couple,
Yeah, jump
right,
the gun. Feel free to jump the gun.
is the way that they're winning games. The first game of the season, Nestor Cortez is on the mound. They're down 4 runs early and they come back and
Mm-hmm.
they win. Like Judge was raving about, like that's a classic Yankees game. Juan Soto has an incredible start to his Yankees career. And then on Friday, you win 7-1. Cabrera lighting it up, right? Saturday, down early again, come back and win 5-3. And then on Sunday, what Soto has the go ahead in the ninth. The way that they're winning games is not only really fun to watch, but it makes me excited as a Yankees fan, right? Because last year,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
No, not at
Like they go
all.
down 4 runs by the fourth inning. You know what I mean? Like you have to rely on Judge to go out there and hit a two
Yeah.
run shot, and then maybe someone like Stanton or who else
Yeah.
gets something going. But the Yankees kind of ride or died last year by like, you know, we can't fall behind early as much, right? And I get it's a small sample size, it's only 7 games, but the way they've been playing, especially when they go down, there's a lot of fight in the team. And I just noted here, uh, 32 runs scored this year to 25 runs that they've given up, so +7, great. Um, Something that's really important to note, I think, is they did lose a 7-0 game, right? So there's that right there. But they've only hit 7 home runs and they've scored 32 runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, those could be 2, 3 run shots, whatever it may be. But like they're not relying 100% on the home run ball. Look at Austin Wells. He had a couple, base hits or sack flies to get
Yeah.
runs in. Stuff like that, I think, is going to really make a difference in the long run. Even someone like John Birdie, who the Yankees just acquired like maybe 10 days ago, not even, already is having an impact on the game. So,
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Brandon. Good stat there. So I think it just feels like this team just feels different than what we've seen the past 4 or 5 years now. They got more swagger, they got more moxie, they got more energy. That's like kind of the chemistry aspect of it. But there's also the
yeah,
actual baseball aspect of like getting on base, working at bats, moving runners over, stealing, taking the extra base. It's just everything combining. It's helping them win games. Because that first game, did they hit any home runs that first game when they came back and won
Cabrera.
5-4?
Cabrera hit a homer in game one,
And
I
it was a
think.
solo shot, right?
Yeah.
So
Most
let's
of
say
them
that's
have
a
been
solo
solo
shot, but
shots.
all the other four runs were all like working at bats, getting on base and then just moving
Yeah.
guys over and chipping away. So I like that they're really not. This is kind of like the Diamondbacks brand of baseball, or like the Guardians that you kind of see where they don't
Yeah.
mash, but they get on base and they run, and it helps them win games. And then if you could combine that with the home run hitting, I think it'll be good formula for success here in 2024 and hopefully in future years as well. But one point I want to make, Brayden, is how about Anthony Volpe? How how
Yeah.
hot does a start, how hot of a start he has had this
How
year. He
much
just looks,
discipline.
he looks disciplined. He looks, his approach at the play is a lot better. I think they said his mechanics are a little different in his swing. I think that's helping him out a little bit. I think he did have the error yesterday against the
Yeah.
Diamondbacks. Um, but obviously they ended up winning anyway, so it didn't really come back to hurt him that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think he's kind of been. We knew Juan Soto was going to be Juan Soto, but there was questions about how Anthony Volpe was going to do this season. So far, he's definitely lived up to the expectations. And I don't think it's going to be a fluke. I mean, obviously, I don't think about what he's batting like 400 right now, something like that.
Something crazy.
But
Yeah. He was like a couple
obviously
days
he's
ago,
not
he was
going to
over
keep that
5. Yeah.
pace.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. But I think his numbers are definitely be much higher than they were last year. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
that's just the point I wanted to make. I just think he's kind of right now, to me, he's had the biggest impact. Just because obviously you have Juan Soto, but that's Juan Soto's role, is to be that superstar. But Volpe is in there, working at bats, getting on base, running, making plays at short. So yeah, I think he's been kind of the key factor in these wins that they've had of late.
Yeah. I think Volpe deserves a ton of credit. To go from last year where he was good. He hit a decent amount of homers right last year, but there were questions, errors on the field, discipline at the plate, and he's completely cleaned it up, at least so far. Again, small sample size. It's been 7 games. They haven't even played at the stadium yet, right? But so far, so good. I also look at someone like Oswaldo Carrera, which we already brought up. What a start for him. A dude that, you know, 14 days
Barely
ago,
he
maybe 3
he
weeks ago,
barely
he
made the
may not even been
roster.
on the roster.
He barely made the roster. I think
He barely made
if
the roster. If
DJ,
DJ's healthy, he's not on the
yeah,
roster.
yeah,
So I think, again, that's huge. And we discussed a little bit on our own about DJ and like what the future there for DJ is. Because if Cabrera kind of comes into his own, what do you do with someone like DJ, right?
yeah,
So obviously we hope DJ comes back healthy, but if Cabrera continues to play well, you can't not play Cabrera. You know what I mean? So I think that's very exciting, as far as longevity, right? Because Cabrera is young, DJ's older, still got some probably years left in him. Um, but we'll see there. Who else? I mean, even like Rizzo. Like Rizzo has been decent so far this year.
yeah. I
Um,
think had a slow first couple of games, but he's been getting on base too, and he
yeah,
had a
he's
couple of
been,
hits
he's been
yesterday, I
getting on
think.
base. Stanton had a homer, which was great. Judge kind of had a slow start as
I
well.
mean, he always has a slow start, and I'm just thinking, wait till he gets going too, which is typically
Yeah.
like a month or two into the
Yeah.
season.
So,
I think it's going
and
to
he
be
hit what?
very
I think he hit a
dangerous.
2-run shot yesterday, the day before, something like
Yeah, it
that.
was yesterday because
Um,
they walked Soto and then Judge homered right after.
yeah. And even someone like Verdugo, right, has come in and yesterday had a huge impact on the outcome of the game, right? We love to see that. Um, so I guess the big piece for me is it's felt like we've had to rely on Judge for a while, right? And it worked a couple years ago. I mean, they were in the ALCS, right? But like offensively, last year we were riding and dying by Judge, right? But now it feels like you got Soto, you got Stanton, who's been pretty decent. Obviously, you got Judge. Cabrera's a threat. Verdugo's a threat. Soto's you know what I mean? Like you've got dudes throughout this lineup now who you feel confident going to the plate. You don't have anybody on this roster right now like we felt with Josh Donaldson 2 years ago,
Yeah, there's
where
no holes. Yeah,
he'd walk up to the plate and we were like, the inning's over. There's no one like that. And again, small sample size, only 7 games, but I'm confident as it stands right now. I'm excited for the series with Toronto. They're big games because it's division games. They're at the stadium, but they've got a couple winnable games. I mean, I don't think the Blue Jays. I don't know their exact record at the moment. But again, it's still early
they're
in the season. But
solid.
the
They're like
next
5-2, something like that.
5-2, right? So they're big games. And then you got the Marlins, who have been playing incredibly poor so far this season. Next week at the stadium, so again, more
Sounds like a trap
opportunities to win
series to
games.
me, if you ask.
Yeah,
Especially if
of
they
course,
win,
definitely.
especially if they win 3 or 4 or
Yeah,
2 of 3 against the Blue Jays, and then
yeah.
the Miami Marlins come to town. It's definitely gonna be a trap series for them, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying is
Yeah,
there's a couple winnable games or series coming up for the Yankees um that in a division that's this competitive where you got Baltimore who has been playing well to start the season like we expected. A team like Tampa who hasn't played as well, right? But we do expect to be competitive as the season goes on. Even Toronto we do. I think the only team that we're kind of like on is Boston. So you need to win games early.
yeah,
Last year, they fell behind early, and teams like Baltimore had a 10-15 game on them. And it was basically like, well, the best this team's going to be a wild card team. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents there.
yeah,
I'm excited for this team. I'm excited to see where they go. But yeah,
yeah. It's like weird because it was like fun, like the opening day game, and then even the games after. It was like fun to watch the Yankees again. It was kind of something we haven't
yeah,
really felt like all last season. Really, there was kind of just boringness and no hitting at all.
yeah,
Like I said, they just got more boxing now. They got more energy. And so far, I know there was a lot of there's a lot of questions about how the Yankees were going to go about their business this year, just because you didn't know if the guys could stay healthy, you didn't know if the younger guys would be able to step up. DJ went down in spring training, but so far they've pretty much answered all those questions.
yeah,
Um, and then Stanton's not having a great start, but he is who he is. He'll take
yeah.
his lumps, but he'll
He'll
get
hit a
hot.
homer like
He'll get hot
one
eventually.
once a
So
week.
at one point, yeah. And that's just who he is from now on. But like I said, like Volpe stepping up. We said should we really be starting Oswaldo at third base, and he proved us wrong.
Yeah,
With his performance against the Astros. Verdugo he's been playing his best pretty much. I mean, he's more of a glove in left field. Had the big homer
yeah,
yesterday. Um, and then, like I said before, Judge hasn't even really gotten going that much yet. I mean, yesterday kinda was his first like
yeah,
real like breakout game. So I'm just they've definitely so far have exceeded my expectations. I think me and you both had them coming in third in the wild card just because we didn't really know what they were. We like
yeah,
no one really knew their identity, but I think I know, like you said, small sample size, but they kind of shown how they could play and how they could win, especially with Soto in there. And their pitching has been pretty solid as well. So I think they could keep this up. There's no reason why at this point they can't go out and win the division.
yeah. I agree 100%.
Vegas knew
The only two,
in the yard didn't know, but Vegas knew.
there
Again,
you go.
we're
Yeah.
only eight
I would
games into the
say,
season, so
yeah, probably the only 2 points that I'll leave you with here, just real quick. That first game, despite the win, was incredibly frustrating because that was the game where like they had the bases loaded like three
yeah.
innings in a row.
And I think every Yankees fan was thinking it's like, here we go
Here we
again. It's
go
gonna be
again.
another long 162 games, but they turned it around. Like they had the base loaded twice in like the first three innings. They hit a double play on both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, obviously they've gone 6-1. So like we're not thinking about that, but
Yeah,
like that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. It's like, okay, this team has been able to get on base, but
yeah.
they, in theory, like a 5-4 win is great, right? But with the number of base runners left, on the bases, it's like it feels like that we should have won even more. It should have been a little bit
They
more
just wanted to
comfortable.
make it interesting, and
Of course, of
fair
course.
enough.
And the only other thing I'll note just real quick
Yeah.
is I think if there's going to be any concern about any player on the Yankees right now, it would have to be Nestor Cortez because neither of his showings have been that
Well,
dazzling.
honestly though, he both of his first innings have been awful, but after that he settles right in and shuts it down after. So if he could just get over that, I forget
True.
who it was like Paxton or Montgomery a couple years ago. They had that first inning. It might have been like Sonny Gray or something. They had that
Yeah.
first inning, like they just couldn't get out of that first
They had
inning
the
really.
jitters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once they got past it, they settled right in. But yeah, it's just something, yeah, it's a good point to keep an eye on. And like I think I said this in the beginning of the season before it started. I was just like Nestor is who he is. Like he's not going to be lights out every game,
Yeah.
by any means. But but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like again, obviously we know about the Thursday game with how like we had the bases loaded and then we just couldn't get runs across the plate there. We still won 5-4, but then I look at Tuesday's game against the Diamondbacks. 7-0 loss. Nestor goes 5 innings, gives up 3 runs on 8 hits, right? Like not horrible, but when the bats aren't moving,
yeah. It looks
That's
bad.
gonna be that's good. It's
I
bad.
mean,
You know what I
technically,
mean? Like
if he would have went one more inning, it would have been a quality start. So
true, 100%. The bats just couldn't get going, of
yeah,
course. But I
doesn't
think
matter
it's
how
just
many.
something to note
Yeah,
as the
no, it
season
is definitely.
progresses.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right.
that's all I got. I'm excited for the
Yeah.
Yanks. They got a big series against Toronto starting tomorrow. I'll be tuned in for sure.
The home opener. I'll
Yep.
be working from home tomorrow, and by work from
There
home, I
you
mean
go.
watching
We're
the
gonna have
Yanks.
to get to the stadium. I know we have the tailgate at
Yeah.
Citizens Bank Park in July,
Yeah,
but we're
we
gonna
will.
have to get to the stadium. As long as they keep this up and it's worth getting to the stadium,
Definitely.
we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. All right. Thank you all for listening. In the yard, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Go Yankees. Hopefully they keep it up.
Yeah, go Yanks.